Hello everyone, welcome to a Gambit+22, little bit of a BM Hunter commentary for you here, so let's get right into it. So first of all, what we do in this pull is we wait for the tank to sort of get engaged in combat with everything, so that he can spell reflect the very first water bolts from all of these fish manters. That will do a huge burst of initial damage to them, and it basically ensures that they will die, like, the goal is that they will die before they get another cast off, because once you run out of kicks in this pack, it tends to be the case that kicks go through if you don't have really well coordinated stuffs and whatnot. Also on this pack, what I like to do is I tend to target the scale binder here just to guarantee that we don't get more than one fish stick, because the pull can tend to become a little bit chaotic early on. I also have this weak aura as part of my UI that you can see on screen right now, which actually reads when the low HP mobs reach like 30% HP or so, and then it checks if your binding shot is off cooldown, and then it basically prompts you to use AoE slows when they're about to go low, and so I drop binding, and that sort of stops them right here and prevents them running out as long as possible, sort of keeps them, at least to the best of binding stability, in all the sort of AoE stuff, so that they hopefully die sooner. Here we do actually have a cast go through, and we can see that it's the... Well, basically, we've all used our kicks at this point. I flub my kick on orange here. Yeah, we overlap kick on orange here, but then it ends up being actually the cross one that goes through here on the DK. The purple one, we have no kicks, only Malagus, the DK, has a kick for his cross here, but I think they both go through on him and he dies as a result. Knock is not that fast. And now you can see the scale binder is running out. It's naturally about to use another totem here, and that's why we nuke it. We kind of want to kill it ideally before this happens. If the DK hadn't died, we most likely have done that. Now it ends up being kind of okay, because it uses the fish stick way out of range of everything, so we can still finish, like, everything is out of its healing range for the most part. So we can still just swap back to the Goliath here. As long as the scale binder dies before the next totem after this, we're in a fine spot, and that's why I swapped to the Goliath mid-pull. In terms of its title stumps here, I highly recommend a website Not Even Close. It basically just lets you calculate which abilities are going to one-shot you. So title stump down here on a certain key level, given certain levels of stamina, versatility, avoidance, armor, and so on. And you can select whether you have a lust pet out or not. So I like to just set everything as the worst case scenario, even though we do have a druid and stuff. But I like to survive in a worst case scenario for any sort of comp, and I sort of adjust my versatility depending. But in this case, there's no way to survive title stump outright without external stuff. So I just use Exil, and if I don't have Exil, then survival of the fittest. During my cooldowns, I really hate using Exil because we're so global constrained for black arrows, right? So I like to use survival of the fittest preferentially during my cooldowns. Anyway, moving on to the next pack after this. So here, once again, focusing scale binders, ideally killing one before it spawns two sticks. So already hitting this one. And what you sort of want to do is you want to stun this one. Like, as you pull all the others into the next pack, you stun this one. I use Intimidation a little bit early, probably. The goal is that it's going to spawn its fish stick way out of range of everything else, instead of joining here and spawning it here. So now this fish stick we can basically know, because everything is outranging it. And as the druid goes off to pull a pack from the way other side of the room, you can see him here on the minimap. He's way over there, picking another pack that will join this one later on. But yeah, I find a scale binder, and I'm already happy to use my CDs here. As a pack is being gathered into another pack, it's pretty important that you sort of stand like here, so that the black arrow cone, because the black arrow cone does matter if things are quite spread out. And so you use that so that the black arrow cone will hit the incoming ads from the next pack. Now here I probably should have swapped the scale binder a little bit harder, like killed this one, because it might spawn another stick, but I think it'll do it probably out of range.
Some stops, mobs going. Switch totem.
And here once again I use binding as everything is getting low here. Like initially right here, already now, like I used my first binding and that catches I think the Shell Crusher here and some other mobs. Not absolutely everything though. But we're mostly concerned about keeping the big mobs in. The small mobs are also important, mainly to make sure they don't pull something else. But in this particular pack, we're not really so concerned about them pulling other stuff.
Some stops, mobs going.
Alright. So now you can see, because we didn't really kill these scale binders as well, I didn't pry them as well as I should have. They spawn extra fish sticks and it just kind of drags this pack out. Probably lost like 30 seconds from bad scale binder focusing here.
Yeah.
Okay, next pack, we learned from our mistake. We hard nuke the scale binder, sort of waiting for a pet to get back over. Having a Kiri pet at this early section is kind of nice for that reason, honestly. Because your pet will sometimes have to move pretty great distances. Once again, I'm keeping an eye out for this AoE. I exiled the first one, put down the binding as soon as my weak aura indicates that I should. And I'm sort of, my kick is sort of a backup situation here. Obviously, multi-dotting as aggressively as we possibly can. You can see a mouse over barb shotting everything, and everything that's painted like this teal blue color right here, that indicates that they have barb shot on them in my UI. Finish scale binder. So we kill this scale binder beforehand, and then I don't think we kill this one before the next fish stick. But as long as you kill the scale binder that spawned the fish stick, its stick will actually disappear with it. Although in this case it doesn't go off at all, so that's good. And now we sort of, so now we CC both of the scale binders here, and what happens is I get a little bit too close and actually body pull here. But as long as the scale binder trap goes through here, it's kind of fine. Then we just need the cage, the other CC of the Demon Hunter, to land on this other scale binder, and that will then sort of finish up the pull. But yeah, that body pull kind of messed up our plans for the setup of this pull. So definitely can't recommend copying that part. But now you can see both scale binders completely caged. That means no fish sticks, nothing to deal with there. And what we're actually going to do is, because those fish sticks don't heal enemies that are involved in a boss encounter and they don't heal these Goliaths, we're going to take those scale binders into the first boss. So I retrap to make sure they don't spawn another fish stick and heal this pack. And other than that, this is slightly kick intensive pack because you have 3 fish mancers and a shell crusher. So this is pretty stop and kick heavy. And also you really want to make sure that no shell crusher runs into the pack out here. So, you know, a bursting shot, you can sort of play goalkeeper. Just be careful not to pull it. Here I tried to intimidation, but it's actually stun DR'd here. But it just turns around in time. Like, yeah, we didn't, I wouldn't call this a clean 22 Gambit. It's like a lot of things almost went horribly, horribly wrong. I think here, for some reason, the scale binder CC breaks. I think it's actually my black arrow that breaks it here. Although it's already spawned a fish stick at this point, interestingly. I think the cage briefly breaks, then it spawns the fish stick, and then it gets CC'd again. And then here, black arrow's cone, actually, when I hit it on this, it actually breaks it that way. So, you know, not the cleanest way to execute these pulls. You know, if you want the best way to execute all this, just look at the MDI run. They timed this dungeon on 23 by like 4 minutes or something. But this is how we did it. For better or for worse. But yeah, now it's just scale binders where you just pull everything into boss. But you, like, just because, you know, this is a thing I see a lot of people doing wrong as BM. Like, you should always be hitting, as the pull is being gathered, you have MD, so you can start DPSing early, and there's really no reason that you can't just be DPSing at all times. It's not that I'm building quiver stacks, because those are already at 8, but, you know, you can still build extra prism stacks, and you can still build, like, the bell toll stacks, which is basically the 12-second 8% damage buff you get whenever you black arrow. Like, carrying a few of those into your cooldowns is a very good thing indeed. So here go to cooldowns, and you got 7 targets here. And, you know, you're just kind of like maximally pad AoE, do as much AoE damage as possible. The Purifying Burst, as we can see on Not Even Close here, is a one-shot on this key level, so I will need to use something whenever I get targeted by it. Also important that when the abs spawn here, that we sort of face our cameras so that they're within our line of sight, so that these Withering Fire arrows will actually go for them and dot them up. Because if they don't dot them up, if they don't hit everything that's in range of you, then they won't actually fire at all. And so by making sure that everything is dotted, then we ensure that all of our other Withering Fire is actually going into the boss. Once the boss transitions here, we want to finish off the Purifiers that are still alive here. Now, the temptation to keep AoEing over here is very tempting indeed, but we do have to be good boys and swap to the Purifiers that are actually limiting how we proceed in the key. And we look at where we have to drop this in. Do that as quickly as possible. And now another thing is, you want to be, even though the boss is actually immune, well, in my case, I have stuff to hit around the room, right? But again, you don't want to just AFK here, because I have quiver stacks that I would like to build, which is the purple number, it's pretty small, on my Call of the Wild icon here. So That is not to be missed. And then, you know, for the second phase, we get another set of CDs, and the remaining ads will most likely die within this. But it's important to not sacrifice any boss damage in order to hit these ads right here.
Bring it.
Because, you know, the margin of, like, killing the boss before next phase, that's easily, like, 15 seconds saved. And, you know, the margin can be pretty fine on some key levels here. But yeah, here we are. And even though it's pretty chaotic, trying to multi-dot as much as possible. Mouse over intimidating that one over there. So Zoe was casting, was a little bit late to it though. And use the Purifying Burst again. I use Exil. You can exil pretty much every other target you get, and the others you just have Survival of the Fittest for. And the in-between ones you leave to others. And now the boss becomes pretty simple. Once again, we're hitting the purifiers here while paying attention to the console over there. As soon as I can see where blue is, I'm heading in that direction. Disengage across all this stuff. Dropping my thing in as soon as it's over. So slow to die here at the end. And as soon as the boss is targetable again, get straight into our CDs. Now, I know that we won't be able to do 2.1 billion in a minute or so. So I know we'll get another phase. But yeah, also for ad spawns that happen when you don't have MD, because your Withering Fires will chase these things down and actually nearly kills me here. Very, very close to getting aggro and dying from it. Kicking it in here. And that's because I didn't have MD and my Withering Fire went for it. So that's something to be aware of, like with your positioning. Survival of the Fittest for this Purifying Burst right here. And now once again we get one more phase. And there's not much more to it. We just finish off these ads and then we kill the boss. And that is pretty much it. I think we should just about make it. 900 billion is quite possible. Or 900 million, I should say, in that time span. We think we do it with how much long left to go? Oh yeah, it's not even close. We do like 20 seconds left to go because we all had CDs there at the end. Alright, so here we are. Pretty weak CD in these, but that's actually fine. So the goal here is that we kill the casters. So that's primarily a focus here. Focus the casters, kill those, and then you just pull everything into the next area. So, you know, send my CDs here. It's going to be an Arras one, and then I'll have a decent prism for the next one. And other than that, it's mostly handled by melee kick since there's only 2 casters here. So I'm kind of just playing backup or kicking when I'm called for it, which I think doesn't actually happen on this pack. Still trying to multi-dot even though we're focusing down these casters. As soon as the casters are dead, you can see we just drag everything along here. Now here, we do either cage or trap the central mob here. So it ends up being caged here. You can also trap, that works just as well. And then you do every single caster except for this one, and this is a lust pull. So we lust. Once everything is just about gathered, my CDs won't be up for the beginning of the lust, but that's completely fine. I get to build some extra quiver stacks, some the belt hole stacks. We potion here, and we send our cooldowns, and this is a pretty big burst moment for us here. And once again, there are, I think, 2 casters here, so mostly handled by melee kicks, but we are on top of it if we need to be. And on this pack, I'm just targeting the highest health enemy for the most part. The casters die pretty quickly. I suppose you could nuke one caster down and then pull along, but the thing is, these will still be the limiting factor to everything dying, I think, so... can go either way. But yeah, as soon as those casters are dead, or at least just one of them, then we pull in this new Tide Sage. And this one we will have to nuke, because this one is the limiting factor to us pulling the next tier. Because 3 casters is not very sustainable on these packs here. So we kill this caster right here. 5 CDs in 10. We just kill this and then we bang the next pack. And as you can hear me say in the video, like I have CDs in 10 seconds. So we finish off this Tide Sage. And that actually lines up very beautifully with my having CDs for the next one. Now, what you'll have probably noticed if you've done this pack on high keys is that it can actually just kill your pet. And what's killing your pet are these tosses right here from the officers. And if both of those happen to go on your pet, then your pet will most likely die. You can see my pet got hit by one of them, so it's at like 50% HP. Then there's no danger of it dying for the next 7 seconds. And what I tell my healer here is like, just keep a hot, like a rejuve or whatever, on my pet so that it's topped. If it gets double tossed, well, that sucks. Not much to do about that. You can pre-defensive it, I suppose. Because the boss fight coming up is not that defensive intensive. So I suppose you could do that. Just look at when these timers are running out every time. and pre-use an exile or survival of the fittest to protect your pet against getting one shot here.
I can push.
Not into boss. And here we are.
5 bloom on it.
Okay, so this boss here is pretty straightforward. Patchwork, there's one binding shot that we like to do on it, but actually a lot of min-maxing on it comes down to min-maxing these time bombs right here. And the way it basically works is that, well, ideally you want to be in voice with your healer. And it basically comes down to healer communication. So I basically say, if I'm in cooldowns that I want to keep the debuff, because of course the debuff gives us a pretty big haste buff, I think it's like 25% or so. And we want to overlap that with our cooldowns as much as possible. So I basically look out for when it syncs with our cooldowns. And I think the debuff lasts 30 seconds, but it refreshes, like it casts again every 20 seconds, I believe. So for the most part, you're not going to be able to hold it for more than 20 seconds. Because you can see here it goes off, 30-second duration, but roughly 21 seconds between them. So what I say here is I want to keep it so that I'll get at least some of this next CD into the buff. I don't think I actually end up doing so. I think he dispels it like just as I pop my cooldowns. Yeah. And that's a little bit sad here. Maybe I could have held this cooldown for this next set. But I think it's pretty unlikely that you get 2 sets in a row here. So it's not fully solved in my head, but that's kind of the thing you want to do. You want to look out for overlaps and tell your healer, don't dispel me at least for as long as you can get away with it until the debuff is gone. Now up here comes the binding. So this is the set where you're at the very end of the beach here and you're sort of this in awkward position where you cannot get behind the boss so reliably. These ones you bind so that they don't move out of the thing here. And that basically ensures that this set all gets captured in the breath and then you're good. And then you just kind of move back. You do a thing like one placement here. And then at this point we're back on the beach. And then we basically just do the whole thing again. So a second round of that, we start from the exact same spot that we started the fight in. And we do everything again here, and that's basically the whole fight. So, yeah, that's pretty much it here. No changes from the first go-around. I don't even think we get all the way to the beach where we actually have to put down that second, or that binding there. So, yeah. And whenever we get an anchor shot, I like to exile just for survival of the fittest on the initial hit. It's not that healing intensive, but we just, we have so many buttons to press, we help the healer out anyway. And that's the end of that boss. Okay, so here our tank pulls aside and then melts one of these Starseers. Now hunters can also do it. We just do it with, we just turtle through. And then once the group is through, we just pull it down here or something like that. Or the other side also works. And then you just, you turtle as you run through and then you feign when it's over. Alright, so here we're trying to go for the left pack, but we have to be very careful with AoE things not hitting this patrol as it comes through here. So we sort of sneak this Starseer through here. And the cool thing is we want to Hunter's Mark and nuke this Starseer. We don't send CDs until it's in, because it's actually possible to beat the second Pulsar that it spawns if we're fast enough. I don't know if it will be. But yeah, and once again, we don't actually target swap to the Pulsar because we're so interested in trying to beat the second Pulsar by nuking the Starseer. What we do is we rotate around the Starseer so that our Black Arrow Cone, even when the Pulsar is a little bit spread out from the pack, our Black Arrow Cone will still move through the Starseer and ensure that we're hitting it with our AoE Black Arrows.
Okay,
and here we're nuking the Starseer as hard as possible. I don't think we beat the Pulsar. We get fairly close here, only like 10% HP off, but that just goes to show you, because this is a lot of extra raid damage and healer cooldowns that we could have saved. Yeah. So trying to beat these Pulsars is really good. On 22 it's pretty difficult to beat them, to be honest, but on lower keys you definitely can much more reliably do so. And with just your cooldown, like, it should be pretty straightforward to do so. Here we trap one part of, now we do the middle pack with one of these, but we don't want to do 2 casters, so we trap one. And it can be a little bit tricky, but because of course it's moving constantly. So you actually aim my trap a little bit in front of it, so that by the time the trap lands, it's actually on one of the casters here. Now, I failed that about as many times as I've done it successfully, so a cage is probably even better. But yeah, here we just do the middle pack with one caster into the Starseer here. And we have CDs for it again from the first one. And once again, we try to nuke it before the Starseer. You can see I rotate around it.
Smite kick.
And we kill it before the next Pulsar, hopefully. I don't know if we succeed once again, but we certainly give it our best, the good old college try.
Azor next.
Because the stars here is really the limiting factor to us continuing, right?
DH.
Anything else can be pulled into boss here. So we just continue to hit the stars here.
My interrupt.
Not much else to it. I refresh my
Switch,
trap.
Malgus kick.
And we do have one more Pulsar here. And here you survive with the fittest.
Malgus kick. DH.
A lot of people panic on those Pulsars, in my opinion. Like, you pop your defensive, you stand in the airflow, and that's your job sort of done with. Then you just focus your globals on... Like, lots of people completely end their DPS on them in order to press more abilities. Or like, because they're panicking about their defensive abilities.
DH kick.
But your best defense is offense after you've popped your survival at the fittest at that point. So yeah. Here we break the CC on the final caster, and then we do that with the boss, along with the remaining things here. Now for the assassins here, we vortex the first ones, and here it's very important that it's very nice to have MD for when they come in, because otherwise your withering fire arrows can go for them. And you can see when these go dark red, that actually means I have aggro. I do let the tank know about that, but you can see I actually have aggro on this one, and that's because I didn't have MD going for when they spawn. But yeah, we vortex these so that they don't ever cast. I'm assigned to soaking here, so you want to basically soak on cooldown unless he tells you not to. But remain inside the airflow, like run back through the airflow as you go to soak again to maximize the druid's healing on you here.
Azor next interrupt.
And there we are. So we still have one pack left to go, but we actually do that in phase 2 here. But now comes the second assassins, and these ones we use a binding shot for. So as soon as they're in the inside the boss here, I pop binding on them instantly. And now when they teleport out, they will not do their cast. They will just get instantly stunned, as you can see here. And then they can get back in the pack much sooner, and it won't cost us any kicks. We do a second CD in phase 1 here. You can see that Lust is available now, so we know when we're going to be lusting. We're going to be lusting the first sort of go around in phase 2. And I'll also have Potion for that with a pretty healthy Prism.
Yeah.
So we are looking forward to that.
Next star.
And there we are. Once again, we soak. And once again, I'm sort of getting knocked in the direction of the airflow and the AMS, sort of like picking up a little bit of that healing on my way back every single time. And here we get another set of assassins. I think I just about get binding off here. You can see it's very tight on the CDR, pop down binding, and you can see just catches them. But you have to be like on the absolute nick of time, so to speak. And here the boss actually faces with assassins still alive. So this can be a little bit scary here, but like just don't panic. Just like stay on top of the kicks, because they'll probably do another cast. So I just say that, you know, I handle the kick on the far one here. So this one right here, grab that one. And every precision here on the stars is pretty much pre-assigned here. On high keys, the Hyperlight Jolt is actually a one-shot outright, so you have to use Exil, also out of the fittest for every single one of them. But you know, you just look at this timer on the boss here, the cast timer, and with 3 seconds left to go, you hit the Exil and you're completely fine. So now we have I got pretty bad Quiver RNG here, so that sucks a little bit. I get up 6 stacks on Heavy Lust. And here you can see, if the boss is, or your pets are poorly positioned here, you actually can't bloodshed. It's actually super annoying. I try to bloodshed here before my cooldowns, but I can't, because the boss is up against this wall here. So I end up being forced to pop my Call of the Wild by itself, which is a little bit annoying here. And then eventually in the middle of the cooldowns, I do end up being able to bloodshed here. But yeah, this is just, you know, set the Ritualist as your focus target and stay on top of the kicks for it. And here we're getting ready for us to do our soaks here. Now the first go around, or the first phase of phase 2 is pretty easy. You soak instantly, then you dodge this. And then the rest of the soaks you can just do straight up back to back to back. What I like to do is I exil the last tick here, or survival of the fittest in my case here. And then we just get back in. The second phase, or the second go around, that's where soaking can get a little bit tricky, and we'll get to that in a moment. But yeah, this pack dies. We do our dodging here. And I like really pay attention to the far ones, because then like you're sort of implanting information in your brain about where they're going to come from, even from far away. Don't just look at the close ones. Look at the very far ones and where they're spawning. And even though it's far, you know, it's not really tight to get here. Once again, exil, make sure my arrow goes in. Bang, I'm completely fine. And my CDs line up perfectly, and I'm good to go again. And now comes this next soak, so skipping ahead just a little bit here. So this soak overlaps with the stars here. So, I'll do this, first soak, and then all the stars are up. And, I guess if you're braver than me, you probably could have done another soak right there, but you can see there's this star right on top of. And I just make sure I'm completely safe before I do my soaking here. You're not in that much of a hurry, because you can see even with the delay there, I managed the soaks with 10 seconds left to go on the next one. So, don't panic too much about doing it super quickly. Just, soak one, then, get safe with it from everything around you, and then soak the remaining stuff. And now the fight just repeats. This one I use survival of the fittest to survive this. Make sure the thing goes in. And once again, even when the boss is AFK here, if you don't have 8 quiver stacks yet, you should be hitting your black arrows to build up to 8 quiver stacks for your next cooldowns. So you can see my rotation doesn't actually stop even though the boss is immune, because I'm setting up for my next cooldowns. And here I think we we have like a minute to do 1.4 billion. I mean, that's pretty tight, but it's maybe doable if everyone has CDs.
We just soak and try our best. Yes.
But yeah, here we can see this soak is actually pretty straightforward. I think we end up soaking anyway. I think we could have done it, but once again, this is just an instant soak into dodge. And then it's just more soaks. So the only one that's actually like a little bit tricky to soak as the hunter here is the second phase of phase 2. P2.2 if you'd like.
Maybe not.
So yeah, that's pretty much this dungeon. And that's how we got 4K. It was timed by a pretty decent margin. 2 deaths, very avoidable deaths. I didn't prior everything optimally, especially in the beginning there. So like lots of room for improvement, and that's how these people find an extra minute or 2 in this dungeon, even though like how can you time a 23 by more than most people are timing 22s by? Well, it's just about nailing all of those small details, because small details can make a pretty huge difference in Mythic Plus. So I hope this was useful for your own Mythic Plus pushing journeys. Best of luck out there, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.